In the dark silence of space, Earth was no longer the ruler of its own future. A deadly cosmic virus had spread across human colonies, destroying lives faster than science could save them. Doctors had failed, armies had fallen, and panic had taken control of the world. Then came the Varelians, an alien species who looked beautiful and strange, with silver-blue skin and glowing eyes. They claimed to have a cure, but they wanted something in return. A peace treaty, a genetic exchange, a bond between species. One human would be chosen to mate with one of them, to test if a new life could be born, a life immune to the virus. Jackson Reed never wanted to be a hero. He was a former soldier, tall and strong. With eyes that had seen too much war, he lived quietly after the battles, hiding from the world and from his own past. But fate doesn't care what people want. His name was pulled from the selection list, chosen by a system he didn't trust. Before he could protest, men in black suits arrived. "You've been selected for Project Unity," they said. "You leave in 1 hour." On the way to the alien ship, Jackson sat in silence, fists clenched. He had fought monsters and machines, but this felt worse. He was being sent to mate with a creature he had never met, to save a world he no longer believed in. When he arrived at the Varelian space station, the air was cold and the lights glowed like stars. Tall aliens moved around him, graceful and quiet. They said nothing, just nodded and led him to a long hallway. "This is your bonding chamber," one of them said. Jackson looked inside. Was simple, clean, with soft lights and one large bed. He frowned. "Where is she?" "She will arrive shortly," they replied, and left him alone. Minutes passed. Then the door slid open. A tall female figure entered, her face covered with a thin silver veil. She walked slowly, her steps uneven. One of her arms was metal, shining like glass. "This is Ariel," a voice said from the speaker above. "Your assigned partner." Jackson blinked. Trying to hide his shock, she was disabled. One leg braced with a strange support. Her body thin and quiet. She did not speak, did not even look at him directly. He turned away, anger rising inside him. "This is a joke," he muttered. "They want to force me into this." That night, he sat on the bed while she sat across the room. They said nothing, the silence loud between them. He remembered the faces of his old squad, the people he couldn't save. Now they wanted him to be part of some alien love experiment. He laughed bitterly. "No thanks." But Ariel stood and walked to him slowly. Her step soft, she stopped just a few feet away. And then she spoke. Her voice was calm and clear. In perfect English, "Why are you afraid of me?" Jackson looked up, surprised. "I'm not afraid," he said. "I just don't want this." She tilted her head. "Neither do I." That answer hit him harder than a bullet. She turned and walked back to her side of the room, lying down slowly. In that moment, Jackson didn't see a disabled alien. He saw a lonely soul, trapped like him. The lights dimmed, and he sat in the dark, his mind spinning. Who was she? Why had she been chosen? Was this really just about science, or something more? Outside the chamber, Varelian scientists watched through screens. "Subject 12 is showing resistance," one of them said. "Good," replied another. "Let's see how long it lasts." Back in the room, Jackson closed his eyes, trying to sleep, but one thought kept echoing in his mind. Why did her voice sound like someone he had once known? The ship drifted silently through space. 2 lives, 2 broken pasts, and one dangerous future waiting to begin. Jackson woke up on the cold floor. Not the bed. He hadn't meant to sleep at all. But exhaustion had taken over. Ariel was already awake. Sitting cross-legged near the window, her silver veil still covered her face. Hiding her expressions, she didn't move, didn't speak. Just stared at the stars beyond the glass. He stood up, stretched, and looked around the room. Nothing had changed. Same walls, same quiet. Same strange feeling in his chest. The silence between them felt heavy. He cleared his throat, trying to sound strong. "I'm not doing this," he said firmly. Ariel turned her head slowly, but said nothing. Jackson walked to the chamber door and slammed his fist against it. "Open this," he shouted. "I'm done." "I want out." A soft voice responded through the speaker. "Jackson, read. The treaty requires 7 cycles of interaction. That's 1 week in your time." "I didn't agree to any of this," he barked. "You were selected," the voice replied, calm and robotic. "By global authority and the Varelian Council." He cursed under his breath and turned away from the door. His fists were clenched, heart pounding. This wasn't a mission. It was a cage. And his cellmate was a silent alien with mechanical limbs and sad eyes. He looked at Ariel again. She still hadn't said a word. "Why me?" He asked aloud, "Why did they put me in here with you?" She didn't answer. That made him even angrier. Is this a test? A punishment? Or are they trying to prove something? He stepped closer to her, voice rising. "You're not even talking to me," she finally spoke, soft and clear. "Because you're not listening." Her words cut through the air like a knife. Jackson stopped, stunned. She stood slowly, her metal leg clicking quietly on the floor. "I know you don't want this," she said. "I didn't want it either, but we don't have a choice, do we?" Jackson shook his head. "No, we don't," he said. "But they should have matched me with someone I could." Connect with Ariel tilted her head. "What does that mean?" "I mean, someone normal," he said, without thinking. As soon as the words left his mouth, he regretted them. She turned away, walked to the far wall, and placed her hand against it. A small screen appeared, showing flowing lights and moving patterns. Her fingers danced across the display, entering commands Jackson couldn't understand. "You think I'm broken," she said quietly. "But you don't know what they did to me." He stared at her. Guilt mixing with curiosity. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then tapped the screen again. A 3D image appeared her body before the injury. She was a beautiful warrior, tall and proud, flying a Varelian starfighter. Then came the explosion. The crash, the fire, and silence. "They rebuilt me," she said. "But not to heal me. They wanted to see if emotion could survive in a machine body." Jackson watched the images fade. He suddenly felt cold. "You were a test subject." "I still am," she said. "Just like you." The room fell quiet again. But something had shifted. He no longer saw her as strange or broken. He saw a survivor, like him, forced into a role neither of them had asked for. That night, Jackson sat on the bed, thinking deeply. He remembered his own past, the missions, the orders, the people he lost. Maybe he and Ariel were not so different after all. A soft sound pulled him from his thoughts. He turned and saw her holding something in her lap. It was a drawing tablet, Varelian tech, but it displayed a very human image. His face drawn in soft, glowing lines. Detailed, thoughtful, kind, not like he saw himself, but like she saw him. He walked closer. His voice barely a whisper. "When did you draw that?" She didn't look up. "Every night," she said. "Since they showed me your file." He stared at the image. Not knowing what to say, he had never felt so exposed, so human. "She saw more of me than I ever let anyone see," he thought. The lights dimmed again, and she lay down in silence. Jackson remained sitting, staring at the stars outside. Questions burned in his mind. Why her? Why him? And why did he suddenly feel like something important was beginning? Outside the chamber, behind hidden walls, the Varelian watchers smiled. Emotional response detected, one of them said. Continue monitoring, said another. Subject 12 is finally reacting, and deep inside his heart, Jackson felt something stir, curiosity, and maybe hope. The days passed slowly, each one heavier than the last. Jackson had stopped shouting at the walls. Stopped demanding freedom. There was no point. The Varelian guards never answered. The doors never opened. And the stars outside never moved. He and Ariel spoke little. But something strange was happening. He began to notice her small habits. The way her fingers tapped lightly when she was thinking. The way her eyes glowed softer when she looked at the stars, and sometimes, when she thought he wasn't watching, she smiled. That smile confused him more than anything. She wasn't supposed to be like this. She was half machine, half alien, yet somehow, ... more human than anyone he had known. One evening, Jackson tried to talk again. He leaned against the wall, watching her quietly. "Why do you keep drawing?" he asked. Ariel didn't look up. She was sketching something on her glowing tablet. "It helps me remember," she said softly. "Remember what?" he asked. "Who I used to be," she whispered. He walked closer and saw what she was drawing this time, not his face, but a strange symbol. It looked like a star wrapped inside a spiral. Glowing blue. "What is that?" he asked. Her eyes flicked up for a moment. Then back to the drawing. "It's from my world," she said. "A symbol of truth." Then she added quietly, "The truth they don't want us to know." Jackson frowned. "What are you talking about?" She hesitated, looked around as if afraid someone was listening. "They told you this project is for peace, right? To unite humans and Varelians." He nodded. "That's what they said." She shook her head slowly. "It's a lie." Jackson stared at her, his muscles tensing. "What do you mean?" She turned off the tablet, the room falling back into dim light. "They're not testing love, Jackson," she said. "They're testing control." He took a step closer, his voice low. "Control." She nodded. "The Varelian High Council wants to create a new kind of hybrid. One that can be programmed to obey. They believe emotions are weaknesses. So they're trying to rewrite them." Jackson felt a chill crawl down his spine. "You're saying they're using us as experiments?" "Yes," she said simply. "And they've done it before." He paced the room, trying to make sense of it. "If that's true, why are you telling me?" Ariel looked up, her eyes glowing brighter. "Because I trust you," she said, "and because I don't want to lose what's left of my soul." For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the faint hum of the ship filled the silence. Jackson sat beside her, his voice soft now. "How did you find out?" She hesitated, then opened a small hidden compartment under her bed. Inside was a strange crystal-like object, pulsing with soft blue light. "I found this," she said. "It's a data core. One they tried to destroy." Jackson reached for it. But she stopped him. "Careful," she warned. "It's coded with a living AI." He stared at the object, amazed. "What's in it?" "Files," she said, "about the experiments, the hybrids, and the people who didn't survive." His stomach turned. "People didn't survive. They call it Project Genesis," she continued. "But the real purpose is something darker." Jackson took a deep breath. "We need to get this to someone," he said. "Back to Earth, to my people." Ariel shook her head. "They won't believe you," she said. And the Varelians will never let you leave. He clenched his fists. There has to be a way. Ariel looked at him, her voice trembling. There is one way, but it's dangerous. What way? He asked. I can connect the ship's main core, she said. My body still carries command codes from when I was a pilot. But if I try to access it, they'll know. Jackson stepped closer, his eyes steady. Then we'll be ready for them. She looked up at him for a long moment. There was something in his eyes, determination, not fear. And for the first time in years, she felt a spark of hope. That night, while the station slept, Ariel connected a small wire from her arm to the wall panel. Jackson stood beside her, watching the screen flicker to life. Lines of alien code filled the room with blue light. She whispered something in her own language, her voice shaking. Then the screen showed an immediate human face. Jackson froze. It was his commander from Earth. Speaking to the Varelians, Subject 12 is stable, the commander said coldly. The bonding test continues as planned. Jackson's chest tightened. They're working together, he whispered. Earth and the Varelians, Ariel said. They've both been lying to you, suddenly. Alarms blared, red lights flashing around them. They've detected the link. She cried, disconnecting quickly. The door slammed open to tall Varelian guards stepped inside. Step away from the console, one ordered, their voices sharp and metallic. Jackson raised his hand slowly, but his mind was racing. He glanced at Ariel. She hid the data core inside her chest compartment before the guards could see. They were taken to separate rooms. As Jackson was pushed down the hall, he caught one last look at her. Ariel's eyes met his, calm but fierce. Don't lose faith, she whispered. Before the door closed between them, and in that moment, Jackson realized something powerful. He wasn't afraid anymore. He was angry, and he was going to find the truth, no matter what it cost. Jackson sat in a small white room with no windows. There was no clock, no sound, no bed. Only a single chair bolted to the floor. He didn't know how long he had been there, but it felt like hours, maybe more. He kept thinking about Ariel, about the data core, the files, the video of his commander. They had all lied to him, Earth, the Varelians, everyone. The door slid open with a soft hiss. A tall Varelian entered, dressed in glowing robes. His voice was deep and calm, like someone pretending to be kind. You are not a prisoner. Jackson Reed, the alien said. You are a participant in a sacred experiment. Jackson laughed bitterly. Sacred? You mean a trap? The alien tilted his head. Your connection with the subject is progressing faster than expected. You should be proud. Where is she? Jackson demanded, standing from his chair. What have you done to her? She is being evaluated, the alien replied. Like you. Jackson's fists tightened. If you hurt her, she is not yours to protect, the alien interrupted. She is a creation, a test model, nothing more. That sentence hit Jackson like a punch to the chest. He stepped forward, fury burning in his voice. She is a person, he growled. She has feelings, memories, pain. The alien remained calm. She was never meant to bond emotionally, he said. Your reaction is part of the data. You are helping us more than you know. The door closed again, and Jackson was left alone. He paced the floor, heart pounding. Every word from that Varelian confirmed his fear. This was never about peace. It was about control, about rewriting what it meant to feel. Suddenly, a small panel opened in the wall, and a familiar voice whispered through. Jackson, can you hear me? It was Ariel, her voice shaky but alive. I'm here, he whispered, rushing to the panel. Are you okay? They separated us, but I found a weak come line, she said. I don't have much time. Jackson leaned close, trying to keep his voice steady. What are they doing to you? They're running scans, checking if I've formed emotional bonds. She said, if they detect too much, they'll erase my memory. Jackson's stomach dropped. They can do that. Yes, she replied. They've done it before. To others, subjects who started feeling too much. I won't let that happen to you, Jackson said firmly. There has to be a way to stop them. There is, Ariel said. But you need to know the truth first. He listened closely as she explained. She had volunteered for the program, but not for the reasons the Varelians claimed. Long ago, before she was injured, she had found a secret in their archives. A file that showed how the Varelians had been experimenting on hybrids for decades. Some were half machine, some part human, some part of other species. But one pattern was clear: those who showed emotion were always erased. Their memories wiped, their feelings deleted. The council believed emotions were a virus, and the only cure was control. Ariel had wanted to prove them wrong, so she let them rebuild her, fuse her body with machines. She became a part of the test, but with a secret plan. To feel again, to love again, to prove that emotions were not weakness, but power. Jackson was silent for a long moment, his mind spinning with everything he had just heard. He finally spoke, his voice low and full of heat. Then we're going to show them what emotion really is. Suddenly, a soft beeping interrupted them. They've detected the signal, Ariel said, panic in her voice. I have to go, Ariel. Wait, I'll find you, she said, whatever happens. Don't let them take what you feel. The panel snapped shut. Cutting the connection, Jackson stepped back, heart racing. She was risking everything again for a truth the universe didn't want to hear. Later, he was returned to the shared chamber. Ariel was already there, sitting quietly. Her face still hidden behind the silver veil, but something had changed. Jackson walked up to her and sat beside her, closer than ever before. I know the truth now, he said. I know what they did to you. She looked at him slowly. Do you still want to stay? She asked. Yes, he said. Not because they told me to, but because I choose to. Ariel reached up and removed her veil. This time, fully, without fear, her face was part human, part machine. One eye glowed softly, and a metallic line traced her cheek. But beneath all of that, her expression was real, raw, and filled with something he hadn't seen before. Hope. He reached out and gently touched her hand. It was warm, despite the metal, and it trembled slightly. Like a heart learning to beat again outside the room, alarms began to flash. The system had detected an emotional spike. Guards were already moving, but inside, something stronger than fear was building. And for the first time since he arrived, Jackson wasn't planning to survive, he was planning to fight. The alarms faded after 2 hours. No guards came, no punishment followed. Jackson and Ariel sat in silence, unsure if it was a warning or a trap. But the moment had already changed something between them. The veil was gone, the walls were gone, and for the first time, Jackson didn't see her injuries or her metal parts. He saw her courage, her pain, her quiet strength. He saw her. Thank you, she said softly. For what? He asked, for not looking away. Jackson looked down at her hand, resting on the bench. Metal fingers, smooth and strange. He reached out and placed his hand over hers. She didn't pull away. You feel warm, he said, surprised. I increased my surface temperature, she said, almost smiling to make you feel safe. He laughed gently. I didn't think machines could be thoughtful. I didn't think humans could be kind, she replied. Her voice light for once. That night, the chamber lights dimmed early. Ariel stood and walked to the center of the room. Without a word, she touched a panel, and the gravity dropped. Jackson floated upward, startled. What's happening? He asked. Just watch, she said. Spinning gently in midair, she moved with grace. Her body flowing like a dancer, her metal limbs glowing as they reflected the soft lights. It wasn't a show. It wasn't for him. It was freedom. She floated toward him and took his hand. Ever danced in zero gravity? She asked. No, he said, unsure. Then hold on. Together they spun. Weightless, their fingers locked, their hearts racing. He didn't feel like a prisoner anymore. He felt alive for a moment. They were two souls in space, untouched by war or lies. Only the quiet rhythm of their breath. The spark between them when the gravity returned. They collapsed gently onto the floor. Laughing for the first time, Jackson looked at her. Hair floating slightly, eyes bright. You're incredible, he whispered. She blinked, caught off guard. No one's ever said that to me, she replied. Well, he said, they should have, the next morning. They sat close together, sharing food and quiet conversation. Jackson told her stories of Earth of rain, of music, of trees that changed colors in autumn. She listened like a child hearing fairy tales. I want to see it one day, she said. You will, he promised, but peace never lasts long. Not in a place built on lies. A message played from the wall speaker. Subjects 12 and V17. Report to the medical unit for full integration scan. Ariel's face turned pale. That's the final phase, she whispered. They'll scan our brains, test emotional response, and reset if needed. Then we're not going, Jackson said. Standing up, they'll come for us if we refuse, she warned. Then let them try, he replied, eyes fierce. We're not test subjects. Not anymore. Ariel took a deep breath. Then nodded. There may be another way, she said. I still have code access to lower decks if we reach the core chamber. We can send the data core to Earth. You can connect to the system. He asked. She looked uncertain. Yes, but it will cost me if I overlink. It could destroy what's left of my mind. Jackson stepped closer. Then I'll help you carry the risk. They packed quickly just the data core, a stolen access key, and courage. The hallway outside was quiet. Too quiet, they moved fast, shadows slipping past cameras. Every step felt like thunder in their ears as they reached the lower level. Ariel stopped suddenly. There, she said, pointing to a console glowing behind a locked panel. Jackson forced it open while she connected her wrist port to the wires. Lights flickered, systems buzzed. Her body trembled as the connection deepened. I'm in, she said, her voice distant. Sending everything files, video, names. Jackson stood guard. Watching the hallway faster, he whispered. They'll find us any second. Suddenly, a sharp cry came from Ariel. Her body jerked as sparks flew from her arm. She fell backward, disconnected, gasping. Jackson caught her. Are you okay? I did it, she whispered. It's sent. Before he could answer. Loud footsteps echoed toward them. Guards, 4 of them, armored, armed, ready. Jackson looked down at Ariel. She was barely conscious. Her skin pale, wires burned. He stood, shielding her with his body. If you want her, he growled. You'll have to go through me. The guards paused. Weapons raised, but then an alarm blared. Different this time. Earth's command signal received. The speaker said, Protocol breach. Project Genesis exposed. The guards hesitated, confused. And Jackson saw his chance. He lifted Ariel into his arms and ran. Down the corridor, past the chaos. Toward the escape pods. He didn't care if they chased him. Didn't care what happened next. All that mattered now was her. And the spark that had started something real. Something worth fighting for. Asterisk warning lights flashed across the ceiling as Jackson ran. Ariel's body was limp in his arms. Her eyes half open, her breath shallow, behind them. Alarms screamed through the corridors. Security drones flew past the walls like metal vultures searching for prey. "Hang on," Jackson whispered. "We're almost there." He didn't know if she heard him. Her skin was pale, the circuits in her arm flickering weakly. The data upload had drained her, pushed her beyond safe limits. He reached the docking level empty. For now, escape pods lined the wall, small and fast. He ran to one and slammed the emergency panel. The pod door opened with a hiss. Jackson placed Ariel inside and strapped her in. Her eyes fluttered open. "Where are we?" she asked, voice faint. "On our way out," he said. "You did it." "Ariel, the truth is out." She smiled weakly. "I knew you'd get us this far." Suddenly, a voice echoed through the station. "All units to Deck 9 Subject 12 has breached containment. Use lethal force if necessary." Jackson turned to the door. Grabbing a pulse rifle from the emergency rack, he had no plan except one by time. "You're not going to fight them all," Ariel said. Trying to sit up. "I'm not going to let them take you," he said. "If they reset your mind now, everything we've done will be lost. I'd rather die than forget you," she whispered. Jackson looked at her, heart tight in his chest, for a moment. Nothing else mattered, not the war. Not the program, not the galaxy, just her. Then the door burst open. And the first guard stepped in. Jackson fired, hitting the metal armor square in the chest. The guard fell back, sparks flying. Two more came in. He shot again. This time, one dodged and fired back. A bolt grazed Jackson's shoulder. Burning through the skin, he fell to one knee, pain blinding. The guards moved closer, weapons raised. Then Ariel's voice rang out louder than ever. "Jackson, move." Her arm lit up like a star, and a blast of energy surged from her palm. It hit the guards like a shockwave, knocking them against the wall. Unconscious, Jackson looked back in shock. "You're still linked to the core." "Barely," she said, shaking. "But I'm not done yet." She stepped out of the pod, holding the side for balance. Her movements were slow, but her eyes burned with fire. "We need to reach the central launch bay," she said. "From there, we can override the ship's course and escape fully." Jackson helped her walk. They moved through damaged halls, ducking past fallen beams and flickering lights. The station was collapsing into panic. They passed other test subjects' hybrids. Part human, part something else. Some watched them quietly. Others joined their path, a girl with silver hair. A boy with glowing veins, all broken in their own way. But free for the first time. "They're waking up," Ariel whispered. "They feel it too, the rebellion at the launch bay." A final security wall blocked their path to elite Varelian enforcers waited. Weapons glowing, Jackson raised his rifle. But Ariel stepped forward. "This is our last stand," she said. "Let me try something." She walked slowly toward the guards. Holding her arms out, "I am Varelian," she said in her own language. "I was one of you." The guards paused. Confused, "You are corrupted," one replied. "You feel too much." "I feel exactly enough," she said. enough to know this project is wrong behind her. Jackson watched in awe as more hybrids joined them. A crowd of survivors, standing together. "This is not a rebellion," Ariel said. "It is a resurrection." The guards hesitated then. Slowly, one lowered his weapon, the other looked between the crowd, then stepped aside. Jackson blinked, amazed. "They listen to you. They listen to truth," she said. They entered the launch bay and boarded the emergency cruiser. Jackson guided it toward the outer locks, fingers flying across controls. Ariel stood by the window, watching the stars. "Earth will be different now," she said. "They'll know what the Varelians were doing, and you." Jackson asked, "What will you do?" She looked at him, eyes soft. "If I survive this, I want to feel everything they tried to erase. Joy, sadness, love." Jackson took her hand again. "Then let's go feel it together." The cruiser launched, breaking through the shield barrier behind them. The Varelian station faded into darkness, but ahead Earth waited. A world still full of problems, but maybe, now, full of hope too, in that silence as the stars stretched across the black sky. Jackson looked at Ariel and whispered, "This time, we decide who we are." And she smiled. "Yes," she said, "we're not their experiment anymore." The cruiser entered Earth's orbit like a falling star. Alarms buzzed, fuel was low, engines overheating. Jackson gripped the controls. Sweat on his brow, Ariel sat beside him, her systems flickering, her strength fading. "We're coming in too fast," he said. "I can stabilize it," she replied, reaching for the control panel. Her fingers moved fast, but her hand trembled. The energy she had used back on the station had drained more than she admitted. "We need to land now," Jackson said. "There's an old evac port just outside New Geneva." The cruiser shook as it pierced the atmosphere. Metal panels rattled, the cockpit filled with smoke. Ariel slumped slightly, sparks flicking from the side of her neck. "Stay with me," Jackson said, his voice tight. "You're going to make it." The ground rushed up to meet them. He pulled hard on the controls. The ship jerked, violently, then slammed into a long dirt field, sliding hard when the dust cleared. The cruiser was broken, but still intact. Jackson crawled from the wreckage, coughing, then turned back to pull Ariel out. Her body was limp in his arms, her skin dim. But she was breathing just barely. He carried her across the field toward a cluster of human soldiers running toward them. They wore Earth Alliance Guerrilla ones, not Varelian allies. One of them shouted, "Are you Subject 12? Jackson nodded. "I have evidence," he said. "The truth about Project Genesis." The soldier took the data core from Jackson's pack and called for medics. "This is huge," he said. "Command will want this immediately, but she needs help first," Jackson said, motioning to Ariel. "She's the key to everything." They were taken to a secured medical facility underground. Machines scanned Ariel's body, searching for ways to save her. But her systems were failing, her mind overloaded from the data transfer. Doctors looked at Jackson with grim expressions. "She's part organic, part AI," one said. "If we reboot her systems, her memories might not survive." Jackson stood by her side. Holding her cold hand, she looked peaceful, like she was already fading. He leaned down and whispered, "Don't leave me now." Not after everything. The doctors gave him a choice. "We can try to restore her body using the alien backups," they said. "But it will wipe her emotional core." "Meaning?" Jackson asked. "She'll wake up, but she won't remember you." He looked at her, eyes full of emotion. She had risked everything to feel again, to love, to rebel, to be free. and now they wanted to take that from her. Jackson stepped back, breathing hard. There had to be another way. Then he remembered something, her neural link, the one she used on the station. If I connect to her the same way she did to the core, he said, could we transfer my memory into her system? The doctors looked unsure. It's never been done between a human and Varelian construct, they said. But it's possible. Do it, Jackson said. Without hesitation, they linked his brainwaves to her neural port. The moment the connection activated, Jackson saw flashes of her mind. Memories, colors, pain, light, loneliness. He pushed his own thoughts in their first meeting. Her veil, the zero-gravity dance, her smile, her voice. The spark, the fire, the promise, her system began to respond. Lights blinked faster, her breathing steadied. Then her eyes opened. Slowly, softly, she blinked, confused. Jackson. She said, her voice small. You remember me? He smiled, tears in his eyes. Every part she reached up and touched his face. You brought me back. You chose to stay, he said. You chose to feel in the weeks that followed. The truth about Project Genesis spread across Earth. The Varelians denied everything, but the data core held all the evidence. World leaders demanded answers, and the program was shut down. But the biggest change didn't happen in politics or in space. It happened in the hearts of people. Ariel became a symbol of freedom, not because she was part machine, but because she chose emotion over control. She and Jackson disappeared from public view after the trials. Some said they retired far from the cities. Others said they joined a secret program to help other hybrids regain their memories. But those who saw them said the same thing, that they walked hand in hand, that they smiled often, and that they never forgot what it meant to fight for love. One evening, under a sky full of stars, Jackson looked at her and said, if you had the choice to go back, here's everything, would you do it? Ariel looked up at the stars, then at him, and whispered, no. Because even in a galaxy full of lies, she had found one truth worth remembering, him.